I was shaking. I was in, after everything that had happened, on top of everything else, this ends up happening.
All that happening within 2 weeks almost made us doubt whether did we want to continue doing RV living anymore. Hi everybody.
Hi everyone.
Today we wanted to talk about 5 scary experiences that we had while we've been doing full-time RV living. And hopefully you can get some tips to help you avoid having these things happen to you. The first one we want to talk about, it actually happened like about a week after we left.
Right out of the gate, it happened right away.
I was driving because when we first left here, I was doing all the driving, and we were headed to Virginia, and we went through Washington, D.C., and somewhere in there, we pulled in to get gas somewhere, and as I was pulling out, I was making a turn, and there was one of those huge boulder rocks there, and as I made the turn, I didn't even see it. And so I made the turn with the RV, and the back of the RV, all of a sudden the back of the RV had just stopped.
We were trying to turn, and all of a sudden she said, "Why aren't we moving? Why aren't we moving?" And then we looked in the rearview mirror, and then all of a sudden we said, "Oh my gosh, there's a rock. We hit a rock."
And there was damage. And I started to cry. We had seen a RV repair place. We had just driven by it a mile or two before we made the turn, before I made that turn out of the gas station. So we actually went back there, and we just asked them like for information and how much it might cost to be fixed. They didn't have time to fix it, but they said it would be about $1,200.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I was just devastated. I mean, here we have, we just got this RV. Everything was fine on it, and then I went and damaged it, and our dump tanks got damaged. And so it was just, I was really upset. But Sal said, you know what, as long as we're okay, that's what's important. So he helped me to feel better, but I was so upset.
Exactly. And if I was going to give anybody any kind of advice, that if you're hauling any kind of trailer behind you, that's my first advice, is just to always make sure you're aware of what's on the side of you, behind you, and you'll be fine.
And I just realized almost every time I'm driving, Sal says, "Watch your left. Watch your left. Watch your left." I just realized that's why he says that, because I hit the rock on the left.
It comes exactly from that.
I never realized that until this moment. We do have a video about that you can watch. I'll link a bunch of videos in the description so you can watch if you want to watch the full videos about all of these. The second thing that happened was we had been in the RV for about a little over 2 months in the RV. And we were heading from Texas, we were heading over to New Mexico.
And everything was going smoothly and wonderful, and then all of a sudden we heard this bang behind us, and we looked, and we noticed that the wheel had gone flat, and we had to pull over right away on the side of the road, which was not fun.
It's always scary to get a flat tire, but only having been in the RV for 2 months, that made it really scary. And we were on Interstate 10 in Texas, and the trucks were just going by, and we pulled over as far as we could, but every time a truck went by, it would just shake the whole RV. We had the cats with us. We didn't know anything about the procedure for tires being changed at that point. I didn't know if we'd have to unhitch there on the interstate, and I was just like terrified. I was so terrified. We have a video about that too. But luckily they don't have to detach. They can change the tire without detaching the RV, so that went well.
If there's a lesson we learned from that, and we did learn a lesson from that, is always check your tires before you travel, before you start traveling. Ever since that, I always check with the tire gauge the pressure, how much pressure there is in the tire. And also, what happened that day was it got really, really cold the night before, and I believe that did something to the tires. So you always have to check those tires before you travel. If there's an advice I would give you, if you're traveling in an RV, check your tires before you start traveling. It might be annoying to do that, but it might spare you a lot of anguish down the road.
And not only that, we actually got something called the tire pressure monitoring system.
Yes.
And I can link a video for that. But we use that, or if we, for some reason, if like that doesn't they're not all working or whatever, we just stop. One thing you can do is you can stop periodically when you're traveling, stop at a rest area and hand feel all the tires. And if one of them feels really hot, then you might want to at least let it cool down, or, you know, see what you can do. But one signal is if a tire is really hot, because basically that's what the tire pressure monitoring system does. It'll tell you if a tire gets too hot, and that's a sign it could blow. The third thing that happened was we were in Borrego Springs, California, and it was the second year that we were doing RV living. There was a super bloom, and I heard about it, and I just wanted to go to that super bloom. I wanted to see it. We're going to go see the super bloom and then head over to the Pacific Ocean. And Sal pulled over on the side of the road to see it, and it was sand. And we got stuck in the sand. We couldn't get out. Obviously we got out, but there were quite a few twists to that, and that is definitely worth watching the video. So if you're going to watch one of the videos I recommend, there's actually two videos, it's two parts, but I'll link it as a playlist, and you can watch them. It's probably 20 minutes total or something like that. So I would recommend watching that, because that's really good.
Now, that was quite an experience, and what we learned from that was, and this is my advice to you if you're traveling, again, in an RV, is if you're going to pull off the road, always keep one tire on asphalt. Don't go completely off the road onto a dirt road or grass or whatever it is, because that's how people get stuck. And that's a huge lesson that we learned that day.
The next thing that happened was, it was 1 week exactly later, after we got stuck in the sand. We had just left Quartzsite, Arizona. We had gone back for a few days, and we were starting to start our journey towards heading back to New York. We were trying to get away from the heat. It was getting hot in Quartzsite, and we stopped at a McDonald's. Sal likes McDonald's, and I noticed that the wheel was really hot, and I don't know if there was smoke, but it was really hot, and so we were wondering what was going on, and we actually filmed that. And then we had to do a couple more errands. We had to get water and stuff, and then we were actually going to Lake Havasu that day. But then we decided, because the wheel had gotten hot, we decided not to go to Lake Havasu, just as a precaution. We went to like a store to get water, and then we headed to a casino where we were parking, and we were just parking. Sal got out to direct me. It was starting to get a little bit slightly dark at that point, I think. And Sal was just trying to direct me so that I could park properly, not to get too close to anybody. And all of a sudden he's yelling and running, and he said, "The wheel!" I said, "What's going on?" Like, he's banging on the door, and I opened the window, and he said, "The wheel fell off." And so the wheel fell off of the RV, and that was quite an experience. And
we think it was related to when we got stuck right before that in Borrego Springs. It must have had something to do with that.
What they ended up saying was that it was something with the grease, self-greasing axles. It didn't have grease or something, and they thought it was that, but they didn't really end up knowing. But we had to get a mobile repairman. We have videos on all of that too, like what the whole process was for when the wheel fell off and getting it fixed and everything.
And the lesson learned from this, and the advice I would give to you, would be what I had said earlier about getting some kind of tire pressure gauge, so you can see what the pressure is on the tire, how hot it is, or something of that nature. So you can always evaluate the tires and make sure that everything's running smoothly and there's nothing out of the ordinary. Our tire monitor wasn't working at that point. We had one, but there was something wrong with it, so we didn't have it on that day. And look what happened.
And we needed it.
And we needed it on that day, for sure.
The fifth and the last thing, that scary thing that happened, and then again, this one was about a week and a day after the wheel fell off. We went up into Kingman. We went to a fuel station, and just as Sal was starting, there was a canopy, and just as Sal was driving, and just as he was starting to go under it, my brain said, "Oh, wait a minute, can we clear it?" Some guy came running out of the fuel station, and it was a worker, and he said there was like all this glass flying, and I went and looked, and basically it looked like one of their overhead, whatever, the lights on the canopy was cracked, and we were concerned, like, were our vents cracked? Was there damage to the RV? And Sal was just shaking.
I was shaking. I was in, after everything that had happened, on top of everything else, this ends up happening, and I went up on the roof later on to check if there was any damage, and thank God there was little, if any, damage. There was maybe a little scratch. There was a little paint on the air conditioner, but it was not damaged at all. God was looking after us that day. And the damage that we did to the gas station's light bulb above us wasn't that bad, I don't think, either. And lesson learned here was make sure you always know the clearance of your RV. Ours is 11 feet 8 inches, and on this day I don't think we checked that. So make sure you always check the clearance when you're going under something, whether it's at a gas station or under a bridge or whatever it is.
Yes, I've actually seen pictures of people who have hit like viaducts or train bridges or whatever, and that's not good. And we actually have a truck GPS that will help us to avoid going near any low clearance bridges and things like that. Obviously it doesn't work with gas stations, but after that happened, it almost made us doubt, all that happening within 2 weeks almost made us doubt whether did we want to continue doing RV living anymore.
It was rough. It was just one of those things. Everything happened all at once, and it was some year, I'll tell you.
That was probably the worst part of the RV journey, the RV living journey, right at that point.
What kind of scary experiences have you had while traveling in an RV? Or not just in an RV, in general, what kind of scary experiences have you had? Comment below. We'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and like this video. And I'm Sal, this is Sharon, and we live in an RV with our 3 cats, Seymour, Henry, and Allie.
Allie is Alexander. We call him Allie for short, and he's actually right there. Hopefully you can see him.
He's taking a nap.
And Henry's actually right here sitting staring at us, and Seymour's out there in the living room. There actually was a repair place. Sorry.
Henry.
That's Henry. No, that's okay. We're going to have another video coming up with 5 more scary experiences that we've had during RV living, so be sure to tune in for that one.